In the heart of Portugal's Douro Valley, the region behind the world's most famous port wine, this stone house with a river view costs less than a used car. Welcome back to Portugal Property Hunter. Every week we find a real property, currently on the market, and break down exactly what it costs, what it needs, and whether it actually makes sense as an investment. No hype, no fixer-upper fantasy, just the real numbers. Today we're heading north to the Douro Superior. Let's start with the property itself. This is a traditional stone house in Coleja, a small village in the parish of Seixo de Ansiães, in the municipality of Carrazeda de Ansiães, Bragança district. It's a two-story house, roughly 80 square meters, 2 bedrooms, and it's listed at €15,000. What makes this one stand out is the view. It looks directly out over the Douro River. Walking through what's here, the original granite structure is intact, which in this region means thick, solid walls that have stood for well over a century. The layout is typical of the area: a main living space, 2 bedrooms, and space on the ground floor that was likely used for storage or animals in the past. What's missing is everything modern. Plumbing, electrical wiring, insulation, and parts of the roof need work. This is a full restoration project, not a light renovation. Now, why the Douro instead of the Alentejo, which we covered in our last episode? The two regions couldn't be more different. Alentejo is flat, open plains, big skies, dry heat. The Douro is the opposite: steep river valleys, terraced vineyards carved into the hillsides, and villages built into the slopes themselves. It's one of the most dramatic landscapes in Europe, and it's also one of the least discovered by foreign buyers. Prices here can actually undercut the Alentejo, specifically because it's further from the coast, harder to reach, and still largely off the radar. That's exactly why properties like this exist at these prices. Let's talk numbers, because this is where most videos about cheap European houses stop being useful. Purchase price, €15,000. For renovation, we're breaking it into categories. Roof and structural repairs, roughly €10,000 to €15,000, depending on how much of the original timber can be saved. Plumbing and electrical, brought up to modern code, another €10,000 to €15,000. Insulation and windows, which matter a lot here, given the temperature swings between summer and winter in this inland region, €5,000 to €8,000. Interior finishes, flooring, kitchen, bathroom, call it $15,000 to $20,000, depending on the finish level you want. All in, you're looking at €40,000 to €60,000 in renovation, which puts the total project between €55,000 and €75,000. For a stone house with a river view in a UNESCO wine region, that's still remarkably low. Now, the legal side, because this is the part most videos skip, and it's the part that actually matters if you're a foreign buyer. First step is getting a NIF, a Portuguese tax number. You can do this remotely through a lawyer or in person. Next, if you're financing, you'll want mortgage pre-approval, though at this price point, many buyers simply pay cash. Then comes the promissory contract, the Contrato de Promessa de Compra e Venda, which locks in the deal and usually requires a deposit. Finally, the deed is signed in front of a notary, at which point you'll pay IMT, the property transfer tax, and register with IMI, the annual municipal property tax. For a property at this price, the transfer tax is minimal, often just a few €100. The whole process from offer to keys typically takes 6 to 12 weeks if there are no complications with the property's paperwork, which for rural properties like this is always the first thing to verify. So what could this actually become? A personal retreat, with your morning coffee looking out over the Douro? A long-term rental for someone working the wine harvest or living locally? Or, given how fast wine tourism is growing in this region, a small guest house tied to the growing number of Douro River cruises passing through? Carrazeda de Ansiães isn't on the main tourist trail yet, but that corridor is expanding every year, and riverview properties like this are usually the ones that get discovered first. If you're comparing this to our Alentejo episode, Alentejo suits someone who wants space, sun, and easy access to the coast. The Douro suits someone who wants dramatic scenery, wine culture, and is comfortable being further from an airport. Both regions right now offer entry points under 100,000 euros all in, which is genuinely rare in Western Europe. Full cost breakdown and sources are linked in the description. If you want to see a new region of Portugal every week, subscribe and let me know in the comments which region you want us to cover next.